All right, you guys get started. You good? Oh, you're so funny. The special council meeting for Wednesday, July 21st, 2026 is called to order at 6:32 p.m. We're going to have a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Please have roll call, please.
Roll call. Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martin is not here. Councilperson Erbaum.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Winters will not be in tonight. Also present for the record, David Roseman, Village Manager, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, and Joseph Geller is running a little late.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Councilperson Erbaum. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Hearing none. Moving right along. Right now, this is good and welfare. You can come and talk about anything at all. First and last name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Good and welfare. First and last name and your address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Nickerson, and all the council persons. My name is Ian McKenzie, 8950 Northeast 4th Avenue. I was looking at some of the agenda items for tonight, and I had one question about the police budget or the police negotiations. Do we provide full health care coverage for them, for the police officers? So that's one of my questions that I have. Or is it just they get an annual exam every couple of years, as indicated on the contract which I read? So then the other item that I want to bring up is item number 2, which involves a resolution number 2026. I guess that's the number. It's for speed bumps with all driveway solutions. I was very shocked, in fact, when I saw it, this proposal coming through, because we've not heard anything about any kind of locations that need speed bumps and everything. And I was here talking about a year ago, give or take a couple of months, when we were addressing the traffic circle. And I said, what about using speed bumps? And everybody, or a lot of people seem to think that, oh, they don't work. Okay, that was my takeaway from it. And I was very concerned. So then when I'm seeing this thing about speed bumps, I'm scratching my head like, okay, this is crazy. Either I'm crazy or somebody's crazy or whatever we're doing. But it doesn't make sense. There's been no presentation, to my knowledge, of the need or where they are. Are there police reports supporting that? We're entering into a sort of a contract or getting committed to all driveway solutions, and they're going to be installing throughout El Portal. What roads need them, what don't need them? Has there been a traffic census done or anything from FDOT or any other agency for this? So I find we're entering into this thing very quickly, and I just want to suggest that we vote no right now and look at it and see what we're actually talking about. Because, our funding also, which I haven't seen a copy of the budget yet for this year of how we're spending our money, but we don't know anything about whether we can even afford this or how it's going to be funded or anything like that. So I think we need to backtrack a little bit and get some more information before we vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Bossity, 149 Northeast 89th Street. I would also like to request that we vote no to the speed bumps resolution. And my reasoning for it is, I think through a lot of the conversation around the potential school, and as we get closer to the potential flow development on 87th and Biscayne, there's been a lot of people asking for a comprehensive traffic study from an independent source. I know I'm one of them. We've also had, I think, conversations and asks around just the overall street plan, around code review. Are we protecting our swales, what we're allowing with heights, setbacks, lot coverage? What are we doing to fit the village style? What are we doing to enforce it? And so I'd like to see kind of our big picture items that we care about addressed first and have a comprehensive plan. I think there's an inclination generally to not save the general fund for the big picture stuff that we care about, like traffic. And so, speed bumps, tot lots, things like that are all great, but it's time and limited dollars and resources that do nothing for what we view as existential to keep El Portal. So I'd like to see what the plan is to have a comprehensive look at all of this. And I'd also request that an agenda item every time for these meetings would be reporting out on, call it the big items. What are we doing with our code review? We saw that be used against us. We got a lot of feedback as to what people want in our code. Same with the traffic study, where we are in terms of what's going on with conversations for the flow development for the school that the council and the mayor are aware of. I think it'd just be good to have, versus us have to ask or scan the agenda to see if it's going to be mentioned or how it might come up, just to have those big items addressed every time, as well as the timing piece for the code review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Noel Pace, 206 Northwest 91st Street. I'd like to make a mention of the West Side Traffic Circle. Okay. As you know, there was a lot of discussion about the West Side Traffic Circle. It got approved. It got put in. Some adjustments were made there. I appreciated not having to knock down our wall that had had a variance for 20 plus years there on our property. However, I do want to ask the village to explore with the county some potential policy exceptions, or, right now, according to their website, our village traffic circle doesn't match up with the county's own policy for this. They encourage splitter islands that have foliage, like green splitter islands, the little islands in between the streets, where people stop. If there's a car coming, they can stand between the two lanes of traffic. We don't have any landscaping or foliage in the circle itself, and they encourage that. I've started to look at different traffic circles around the county, and for the most beautiful village in the county, we probably have the least beautiful traffic circle. So I just think there's some incongruity there, and I know you guys can do something about it, most likely. The second piece is that along with that came some great lighting for safety and for visibility and so on, but it's probably 1 degree too bright. Okay, it's like daylight outside when you're over there, and we are concerned about we live on Screech Owl Street is 91st Street, and the owls, at night can't hunt because it's like daytime. So, and we have a lot of owls in that area. The last thing is that when the light contractor put the lights in, they did a lot of excavation of the soil and the rocks, on the Coral Ridge. And instead of taking that debris out with them, they went and threw it in all our landscaping. And so now I have these giant rocks, these white rocks in the middle of our green foliage with dirt piles. And so hopefully we can get that taken care of. Lastly, and I would always be remiss to say that the old Razor Church property, I hope that this council has digested this now, has seen the big picture that it should really be a park in accordance with our community plan and our future site use. It's a pretty small area. It's in the center of town. It would match up with our Miami Shores neighbor along with Biscayne Park. It would provide some of that open space. And then in talking about plans for the future, I think anything, in terms of these, big changes, we need to sort of see the developer's master plan, not just for that property, but for all of them before, hey, so you guys can make informed decisions on behalf of the people that elected you. So I think that's good for now. Happy 4th of July. Happy 250. Thanks for your support. Thanks. And
Thank you.
I just got the buzz. Here you go. You got the buzz. Thank you.
Next.
Daniel Rojas, 60 Northeast 86th Street. So just wanted, for the good of welfare, I wanted to remind that we had discussed, especially considering that we're going over the CBA police agreement, we had discussed in the budget last year that we were going to have some workshops, we were going to have some more transparency about that, and I just want to know where we stand with that, if it's the village manager or mayor or council. Where are we standing with anything regarding transparency and visibility of the current budget for this year and even for last year's? That's my first item. Number two is, it looks like today we're going to discuss joining a challenge to the property tax constitutional amendment, but I remember last meetings we had actually discussed joining the SB 180, and maybe even now that Miami voted last week to explore a legal challenge to the Live Local Act, maybe we can explore joining either or both of those possible legal challenges. And then to join our neighbors over here, I just want to reiterate that I think that the Raider Church lot would make a fantastic park. It would be an amazing addition to our village, probably increase our values, and just if we can explore that possibility, being that it seems like those plans are at least on hold, just to bring that up to the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Steer, 120 Northwest 86th Street. Just a couple of things. Again, I wanted to reiterate what other people have already brought up. The fact that we are 9 months into the budget, and yet we haven't had a single review. We have no idea whether we're overspending or underspending. I asked specifically if there was any money in the unassigned fund, which is our rainy day fund. Never got a response to that. And as far as I know, Florida mandates that every municipality has a independent audit, which is due by June 30th, which was yesterday. So I'd like to know if that has been done. As far as the CBA, another question, we're here to ratify a contract that started in October of last year and ends in 3 months. I'm not sure why that is. These contracts should be negotiated before they start, not almost before they end. The other thing about the CBA is I didn't see anything in there about salaries. I saw compensation, but there's no actual salaries in there. We don't know what the police chief makes or the lieutenant or any of the officers or even how many officers we have, although I see many of them here tonight, so maybe we'll find out. I will commend the police chief for finally submitting the police reports, although there's a few missing from last year. But from January to June of this year, they're all on the website, and you can see for yourself, from what I could tell, in those 6 months, first 6 months of 2026, there was a grand total of 2 arrests in the village. But we issued 2,479 tickets. That's almost 100 tickets a week, which is great. I'd like to know where that money goes. Anyway, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Alexandra Baza, 120 Northwest 86th Street. A few people have already asked about it, but I ask again, as I do every single time, and for some reason that answer never gets, that question never gets answered, and it's about the follow-up for the budget review that was due in October 2025, and it's still not, we're still waiting for it. And again, more details about the budget of this year. And as the previous person was saying, there are so many bigger items that I don't understand why are being discussed just now, So like the contract, the police contract now, if it was discussed in October, why is it brought up right in the middle of the summer when there's absolutely nobody coming to these meetings? It's very similar to the, what happened last year about the increased salary, again, with very few residents attending. So I would like to ask that those bigger items are reserved to be discussed in August or prior to June, when there's more people willing to come to these meetings. The last thing that I wanted to ask about the speed bumps is when we just moved in, one of the first discussions that we continue having with you, Mayor, was the need to reduce the speed on streets like 86th Street and Northwest 2nd. So the solution for that was a speed bump in front of our house that honestly nobody paid too much attention to it, and the traffic circle on Northwest 2nd that nobody pays attention to it. So after $750,000, people are still speeding both on Northwest 2nd and on 90th Street all the time. We were told at that point that the police was being trained to use the speed guns. The only place where we see those speed, that they're doing that is on Northeast 2nd. I don't know why, because that's the last place where you see people on this, there's sidewalks on that street. The rest of the town doesn't have sidewalks. You don't find people walking their dogs anywhere else on Northeast 2nd, but it's the only place where they're tracking the speed. So that is one thing that I would like to bring your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else? Good and welfare?
Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Council, and neighbors. My name is Thomas Pulliam, and I live at 205 Northeast 86th Street. I'm here tonight in a spirit of respect, good faith, love of civics, this village, and love for the rule of law. Because the law is what informs, guides, and protects all of us. It protects residents, it protects public servants, it protects the integrity of this council's decisions, and it ensures that no homeowner is left guessing which rules apply on which day, depending on who you ask. As you all know, last Tuesday, this council voted unanimously to preserve my property as is until July 28th, as actionable pathways to close or cure my open permit is investigated, which I have been asking the village administration to do since March of 2025, when the Coral Stone installation was done on my property. I'm deeply grateful for last Tuesday's council directive and the caringness shown, because it created a peaceful path forward. It gave everyone room to pause, breathe, and proceed thoughtfully. But less than 24 hours later, after the council's 5-0 vote, the inspection report to my permit record in the government database was revised to be a failed foundation. I believe that entry is materially inaccurate and does not reflect what occurred on site per my recorded video that I have shared with everyone and entered into the public record. Here are the facts. The person who appeared at my property declined to identify himself, which on its face is illegal when you're operating as a contractor of a government entity. The recorded video from the visit shows the field technician stating that they were there to take a distance measurement from a wall using a digital meter. That's it. A distance measurement of a finished wall is not a foundation inspection, and it is especially not a foundation inspection when my approved permit has never required structural or engineering blueprints, and that fact has not changed in the 16 months this permit has been active. There is another related issue. The revised June 24th inspection sheet cites code provisions that apply to structural work, but my permit has not been reclassified as structural, and I have not received any list of building deficiencies a safety analysis, or final agency action, despite begging for this information for over a year. And just 4 weeks ago, I formally requested another final agency action notice so there would be a clear, appealable decision. I still have not received one. That's why I came in front of the village just last week. So the issue before us is simple. The public record now reflects a failed structural inspection that, based on the recorded video of the site visit itself and the current permit classification, did not occur and was not required to occur. I do not raise this to create conflict, I raise it to protect clarity. This council created calm, the permit record created confusion, and for the good and welfare of this community, clarity should win. That brings me to a broader point. Today, July 1st, Florida House Bill 803 takes effect. My understanding is that this law strengthens property owner protections and requires greater clarity around private providers, inspection processes, and related fees. Residents deserve to know their rights, they deserve to know their options, and the village has a responsibility and legal responsibility to communicate those rights clearly and follow the law consistently. So as a matter of good and welfare, I ask the village to publicly clarify its updated process for residents who elect to use certified private providers, including where residents can find the updated fee schedule and inspection fee methodology that reflect the new state requirements that are effective today. And with respect to my property, my request tonight remains simple. On Monday morning, I submitted a formal request to the village manager for a written administrative stay consistent with this council's June 23rd vote. As is typical, I have not heard back from the village, and I respectfully leave this open request in your care and ask for a written confirmation this week. My hope is simple: honor the spirit of last week's vote, preserve the peace this council created, and keep the process fair, stable, transparent, and lawful. Because when one resident or developer can trust the process, every resident and developer in El Portal is better protected. Thank you for your time, your service, and your care for this community.
Thank you very much. Good and well.
Good evening. My name is George Alvarez. I live at 165 Northwest 88th Street. I want to commend and thank the council and Manager Rosemond. Although I do find it curious that the CBA is being done now as opposed to towards the end of the last fiscal year. Perhaps you guys can explain that when given the opportunity. I know it's a lot of work, so I want to commend all parties involved, especially you, Manager Rosemond. My friend Thomas Pulliam just made mention of trusting the process, and I'm going to extrapolate on that for a moment. Although I cannot claim to know every detail about what Mr. Pulliam has gone through, I don't fully understand it, and frankly, it's so crazy-making that it makes me crazy. But that's kind of a sign that the system is a little bit broken, or as I like to say, fakakta. And it's a real thing. It seems to me that with what I see going on in the council, especially in the city of Miami right now as regards development rights and the near willy-nilly lopping down of some very culturally significant sites, older houses, and trees, that we should be focusing far more on making the lives of people like Mr. Pulliam a little bit easier, at least a little bit more clear, so that there's a path forward. Frankly, after the meeting last week, I wasn't sure what the council could do to him. I'm unsure as to whether the council had any power to somehow mitigate his situation, and I'd love to hear you guys address that, so that we all may proceed on the same premise. The issue that's going on in Miami right now with the city council is endemic, and it's going to harm all of us. And some of fellow residents have mentioned transparency as regards our budget process. I think it's very important that we make every effort to make things as transparent as possible so that the people can see where our budget is and decide where our priorities are. How, you know, it's like, what is it, Socrates' cave or whatever? We don't know where we are in the darkness of a cave. So I'm encouraging you guys, Miami Shores already has their first budget workshop advertised on its website for next month, second or third week of next month, the first of two, and I think that that's a great start. Their old budget, for comparison so that people can understand what's going on, is posted on their website so that they can kind of pinpoint the things that make sense or don't make sense, as Tim alluded to. So I'm encouraging you guys to do that. And once again, I'm going to encourage this council to join the lawsuits with the other municipalities to stand firm for local rule. Home rule in the state of Florida is under attack. And for those of you who wish to make it a partisan thing, in other states that have other parties in control, home rule's under attack there as well. It's under the guise of affordability, and it uses terms like workforce housing. But when you start to look at the details, and the devil's always in the details, you start to realize that it's really a much different agenda. We can get into it. I'm well past my time, and I thank you for yours.
Thank you very much. Next, good and welfare. Going once. Twice. 3 times. All right. Coming back to the council. All right. So the. Yeah, no, do your thing. Do your thing.
Okay, so I have no doubt that the mayor is going to address the questions regarding the contract and some of the budget issues as well. So before he goes into all that, I just want to say that in regards to the former Raider Church site being a park, I agree. However, the village had its opportunity almost 10 years ago to acquire that property, and I'm concerned a little bit with talking so comfortably about acquiring somebody else's property. I'm a little cautious in that, even though obviously it's exactly what it should be as a park, even a community center for the village. But I do just want to say the village had its opportunity 10 years ago to acquire that property, and I would want to be at least cautious in a path towards discussing how to accomplish that. When we talk about, I've said what I need to say, I think so.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Urban. Appreciate you. Let me just say also for the park, as far as the old Raider Church, you know, it's always something, and I explained this last time about, you know, my vision of and why I named this Little Peacock Park. I already explained that. That's something that has to go like into the negotiations. Thing about it is we don't own that property, right? So if you're soulful now and you're that developer, we have to find a way to give them something somewhere else, maybe over here, right? Because maybe density or something like that. Because if you're soulful, you're sitting there and you're saying, I brought this property for $13.5 million or whatever. Okay, so now what's my incentive on now making it a park? You know what I'm saying? So I understand and I agree with the sentiment, but I want to work in like a realistic format, right? Because I can, if I just start going out to the residents saying, hey, we're going to make that a park, we don't own the property, right? And then what's the incentive on them paying millions, over $10 million for it, and then doing that favor for us for no reason or no benefit to them, right? So I try to think about it from all angles and from a development angle also. So I'm with that, but there just has to be a realistic way of getting there. So that comes with the negotiations with the developer. Okay. Besides that, let me just say that to move to the speed humps, first thing I'll move to. when it comes to the speed bumps or the speed humps, you guys, and I know a certain council person dredges this up also. When it comes to the speed bumps or the speed humps, you know, it's interesting because sometimes it's almost like when that old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. The reason why it's on tonight is for transparency reasons. It doesn't have to be on tonight. If you look at the resolution for tonight, it says in the second whereas in 2025, the Village of El Portal, initiated by Mayor Omar C. Nickerson, committed to a village-wide installation of speed humps and signs, and the Village of El Portal shall remain committed to such installation for the continued and increased safety of our residents. That was in 2025 we passed a resolution for this, village-wide. I'm gonna go to the 2025 resolution in a second. This is tonight's resolution. The third whereas says, whereas the Village of El Portal via resolution reviewed, past tense because it was done in March 2025, via resolution reviewed 3 proposals and found that the proposal quote for the installation of speed humps and signs obtained by All Driveway Solutions, the lowest responsive and responsible proposal, and that it was proper source of procurement under Florida law. That was in 2025. We passed that. The only thing I'm doing now is saying, hey, which I didn't have to do, is saying, hey, we already did the procurement. We already had the 3 proposals. We chose All Driveway Solutions. I'm coming back a year later and saying that now that we use them, we already went through the proposals, we already went through the procurement, we chose them. Now I'm coming back looking at their work and saying, hey, we already agreed to the village-wide speed humps last year. I'm saying, hey, instead of going through the procurement process because they were the lowest, let's lock in their prices and let's continue with them. Now, whether we continue with them or we continue with one of the other 2 who are higher, much higher, the village-wide speed humps has already been done and decided back in 2025. I will also say that the reason why not only transparency matters, me coming back and saying, hey, you guys, which is never, usually when we go through the procurement process and we choose somebody, we choose that company, that consulting group or whatever. When do we ever come back and say, hey, let's look at their work and let's do another resolution to decide we want to keep them? That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. So I'm doing this for transparency purposes, which I didn't have to do. Also, I would say that if you look at the one from 2025, it says a resolution of the Village of El Portal, Florida, providing for installation of speed humps and signs village-wide, providing for an incorporation of recitals, providing for an authorization, providing for an effective date. The Village of El Portal is desirous of installing speed humps and signs as a method of increasing traffic control and safety village-wide. It's 2025. Another reason why I'm bringing it now is because for the past year, I have residents over here, especially in this part right here, that are like, Mayor, you promised us speed humps a year ago. Where are they? So that's why I brought it back. And as I said, in 2025, we already passed this. I didn't have to bring it back. Strictly for transparency purposes. Okay. The next thing is for the tot lot, I'm gonna get to the code review, Mr. Bosley, for the tot lot. You guys know the funding for the new tot lot was no taxpayer dollars. Okay. As far as the code review, you guys know about SB 180 that the governor passed a while ago in the legislation that says that we can't update our code. We did do, remember that code thing we had here? We did the code workshops. That got implemented right after that. Okay? That being the case, though, there is a certain way that you can get around that, being that that was passed while I was president of an organization, which is recognized statewide. We can get around that. That being said, the architectural, landscape, and environmental board, which some people say would have no teeth, a couple of months ago, we passed here because of the carve out that I have around 180, because of my position as president of the League of Cities, we passed that in the government, in the village of El Portal, the government can no longer use the same individuals to cut down the tree as the same company for the arborist. We passed that a couple of months ago. That's large, because up until a couple of months ago, when we would have to cut down a tree, usually the person can use, or we could use the same company would be like, hey, we got the arborist also. And we use the same arborist. And I was like, well, that seems like a conflict of interest, because some of these trees, especially the large ones, they're tens of thousands of dollars to cut down and chip up, right? Because they cut them down, then they send them through the little wood chipper. It's tens of thousands of dollars. So it's a conflict of interest financially for the same company we're going to use to remove a tree to be the same company that provides the arborist report. Got rid of that through the Architectural, Landscape, and Environmental Board that I started. So that's where it's going with the code review. There's ways around it because of that and that position that I have, and we can continue to talk about that. As far as Mr. Pace, the West Side Circle, I don't know if you saw this. I agree with you when it comes to the lights. I was over there a couple of nights last week. Right here on June 24th, 2026, 11:47 a.m., you might not have saw this, but you have 2 emails on this list, on the response. So I wrote back, this was to Mr. Carmelata, Louis Carmelata. I said, I hope that your day is going well. I said, good morning, Mr. Carmelata. I hope that your day is going well. We have been in contact with the senior representative of LED Lighting Solutions, which is a government FPL company. We have also been speaking with the Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works. They stated that the lighting installed was required at Northwest 2nd Avenue, where the roundabout is located, in the county right-of-way and not controlled by the village. After continuing to push them, in quotes, to understand the importance of them treating us correctly, they said that if we feel that it's too bright, then we should go to the county to ask for a reduction in lighting and explain why it's too bright. We have begun that process. I then go on to say, we have been told that the county will send their engineers and technicians to evaluate the brightness complaints. And if found valid, they can then recommend reducing the light intensity. Right now, they say the lights have been installed as per county requirements. What may also help is if the complaints were also being expressed by those in the vicinity of the lights. Those households are also free to lodge brightness complaints with Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works. We will continue to, in quotes, stay on top of them and advocate for all of you. If you would like to file a complaint with them, feel free to let me know, and I can provide the email address for that. Regarding the construction debris, which was also a problem over there after they put that in, from the light pole installation and sod that was destroyed and removed, FPL states that they have not informed the village that they have completed the work and cleanup yet. So they were trying to say it's still an open ticket item. They haven't closed it yet, so they're not done. We told them that if they are not yet finished, they should still leave the area clean and presentable between their working days. We have requested to the FPL representatives to clean up. I told them that if it's not cleaned up by Tuesday of next week, that then I'll lodge a direct complaint, an official complaint against that. And I'll go clean up myself after that. But I'll put an official complaint in after that. All right, by Tuesday of next week. I'm gonna get to the budget
Can
stuff.
I comment on the?
Yeah, go ahead.
So just real quick on the lights. The village should be petitioning the county to have blue lights there. That's it.
Thank you very much, Councilor Urban. As far as the, I'm gonna come back, because some of this police stuff, the manager and the attorney have to answer, because I don't know the answers to those, you guys. Okay, last thing I'll say before I turn to that stuff. Oh, Ms. Baza, the reason why the police, after they got the laser guns, for lack of a better term, the speed solution devices, the reason why they concentrated on Northeast Second so much is because we had within like maybe a 2-month period, I think we had like 2 or 3 accidents there. And that had never happened. And so we noticed that a lot of the speeding on Northeast Second, just because like, you know, it's that one lane, or it's 2 lanes, but it, you know, it's when it then opens up for us here, right here, then it closes down again when it hits like Miami Shores. Because of that, I think people were, you know, they were like one behind the other when they're south of us. And then when it opens up to the 4 lanes, they gun it before it goes back down to the 2 lanes when you hit Miami Shores. So because of that, we were finding that there was a large amount of speeding happening here. And then, like I said, we had 3 accidents. One was really bad within like a 2-month period, I think it was. And so that's why we concentrated on here to make sure we got that down. But we can put a speed watch order over there for that, especially when school starts again, right? When people are, you know, gunning up and down that way to take their kids to school. What also helps out for speed watch orders, you guys, is if we kind of have an idea of what day or time of day is the worst. If it's random, then it's fine. It's random. We could put a watch order over there. But what does help us out is if you know, people say sometimes, oh, traffic going to school, or, you know, in between, you know, 3 p.m. and whatever weekdays, or weekends, Mayor, on, that helps out. But if it's random, then we can, you know, go over there and see what we can find from there, from that point on. What I would say is, Mr. Taubenfeld, just shake your head up or down, shake your head up and down in agreement, or shake your head side to side in disagreement. When I reached out to you a few weeks ago, didn't I reach out to you and say that I might even let you finish this comment. Come up to the mic real quick. A few weeks ago when I reached out to you, I said, hey, get me the current budget because I wanted to do what with it? What did I say I was going to do with it?
I'm sorry. Harry Taubenfeld, CFO, Village of El Portal. You wanted to sit down, review it, so that we.
And then after, I said I wanted to have a sit down review it for what purpose? What did I say? I said I want to have this. I said, and I want to find a way to put it in layman's terms so I can do what with it?
Put it out to the residents.
What I said to every single household, correct?
That is correct.
So all the budget information current. Once I meet with him, Mr. Taubenfeld, we're meeting Tuesday, correct? That's right. That's correct. Once I meet with him, my flyer packets, I'm putting every single thing out, every single household, all the residents. And that's why I said I want it in the most layman's terms so it's easy to understand. Okay? Already been working on that for about a month. When it comes to the budget workshops, those we usually do in the end of August, beginning of September. This one will be moved up a few weeks, as I said before, in August. Okay, so we're going to try to move it up in August. Like it was correctly stated, Miami Shores is having 2 budget workshops in August, and we're in the beginning of July. So we were looking to do it in August anyway. Okay, but before that, as you just heard, I'm going to be putting out all of the budget information in a flyer packet on everybody's door. For all you guys to see, all right, spelled out and kind of like labeled out everything, okay? So you guys see that. You want to say something before I go to the police?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a follow-up on where are we at with the current audit, and then additionally, we do need to address why there was not a budget review in October or early into this year.
You mean after October? We passed the
Right.
budget.
Yes,
yeah,
yes. So.
Yeah. I have the audit on here, you guys, so I'm gonna hit that also. But I was gonna hit that with the right before the police thing. As far as the audit, I believe that it's completed or almost complete. I know that there were some things that had to be turned in, but we can get an update on that from the auditors, you guys. But it's pretty much done. The audit is done. I believe everything was turned in. So, so we should be getting that back when we get that back. I know that the assessed value, the assessed value, as you heard, that I'm going to be meeting with the CFO on Tuesday, and I've been working on getting all the information out to you so I can kind of decipher that. But the assessed value, the final assessed value, and this one right here, CFO Taubenfeld, you can shake your head up or down, yes or no. Didn't that come to us like yesterday or today, the final assessed? Was it today? Yell out for me. Today. Thank you very much. So I'm on top of it, okay? I'm on top of all that type of stuff. This is for mostly the manager and the attorney. So I used to be involved in the police negotiations, the police contract, since I was mayor. For some reason, Manager Alou, this started with Manager Alou. I can't necessarily blame Manager Roseman about this. This started with Manager Alou. For some reason, in this last contract, I was kept out of it. Okay? The only time that I would know that a meeting would be happening is when I would walk into Village Hall and a staffer here would be like, Mayor, why aren't you on the meeting? I'd be like, what meeting? The police negotiations meeting. I'd be like, nobody told me. And I used to be a part of all of them. So I don't know what happened with that. So unfortunately, these questions I cannot answer because they kept me out of it completely. And like I said, this started with Manager Alou, so I can't blame Manager Roseman for this. But when it comes to either Attorney Geller or Manager Roseman, when it comes to the police officers, do they have in the contract we negotiated, do they have full health care, or is the health care is it full coverage? Is my question. Is it full coverage?
This may be more of a question for our CFO, because these were elements that were negotiated before I came on board, but there is partial negotiation. We have Joaquin, the representative of the fraternity order of police, or maybe even the chief can address the exact coverage, but these were elements that were pretty much negotiated before my arrival.
Whoever knows the answer to that question, Mr. Taubenfeld, you might want to come up. Whoever knows the answer to that question, can you just answer, do they have full health care coverage?
And then
Go ahead.
While he's coming up, just correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the end of a process that lasted 3 years or more.
I can give you history.
Yeah, there we go, please.
Or,
'Cause I
or
think
some of it anyway.
I think it is helpful to
And
understand.
enlighten everybody as best as I can. So typically, the contract with the police department is a 3-year contract. The village signs a 3-year agreement. The agreement expired last year, I guess 2025. Prior to that, obviously, we were negotiating with the FOP for a 3-year agreement to continue what's been going on here for, I guess, as long as I've been here. Unfortunately, things got in the way, I guess, with the manager leaving, onboarding a new manager, getting him up to speed, negotiating back and forth. Seeing that the year was almost done, both parties felt it was best to go with a 1-year contract for this year, and then sit down and start again and go back to what we normally do is a 3-year contract. So the goal again is to do a 1-year contract this year and then follow that up with a 3-year contract. The only change that you have for this 1 year is the 5% increase from the prior year contract. So everything rolled over with the exception of a 5% increase, which the commission approved at the prior year budget. So that's really the only one change.
And the health care?
As far as health care goes, the village does offer health care to the officers, a percentage. Off the top of my head, I don't recall what it is.
Is it full coverage?
It is not full coverage. And we do charge, if they do want to add any dependents to the employee. That I know is certain, but I'm almost certain also it's not full coverage. What the percentage is off the top of my head, I don't recall.
Before you walk away, Mr. Thomenfeld, I know that the ticket money, Mr. Steer, I know that the ticket money doesn't go to the general budget, stays in the police budget, correct? What?
Partial, but most of it goes to the, well, everything flows into the general fund. So the the police budget is part of the general fund. So the revenue goes into the general fund, and as well as the police.
But the ticket money, I thought, could only be used for public safety.
That is correct.
Public safety items.
That is
So
correct.
it can't be used for like the tot lot. It can't be used for. It can only be used for public safety items.
Police-related.
Police-related items. So it kind of. So that's why I mean like it stays kind of in their budget.
Correct.
Basically. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Go ahead, Attorney Geller, and then we're going to move because the first item is the police
I am, but
contract anyway. So.
just to finish a question that you answered, you are an unusually active mayor, and everybody knows it, and you deserve all the credit in the world for all the many things you do. And it is a fact. I mean, I've been here long enough to know you've been, in the past, were very active in helping us achieve labor peace. But at some point in looking at it, it got very contentious for a little while there, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, when people say it should have been done sooner, it's not like negotiations weren't ongoing, but there were real issues, and the biggest of them was the budget issue and what the village could afford. Everybody's in favor of having strong law enforcement, but you also got to keep the streets paved and pick up the garbage and other things. And there were real budget issues that weren't settled. They're not completely settled, but at least they have a better idea. And that's why this was entered into after the previous agreement expired. It wasn't that there weren't negotiations before. There were a lot. They just didn't come to conclusion. But in the course of that process, it was determined that whatever the administration, basically the manager and the CFO, with the assistance of my office, my partner actually did most of this one, was going to be presented to the village council for a vote, such as we're doing tonight. And to avoid any complications, there were some issues with the police union, that having you as part of the village's negotiating team might impact how you would vote as a council member. So to protect you, to protect the village, to protect the union, to protect the residents, everybody wants labor peace and not attorney's fees being spent in Tallahassee. It was determined that it would be cleaner to not have you part of the negotiating team, so you could be in the same position as your colleagues on the council when it's presented to you for a vote. It's not that you couldn't do it or hadn't done it or weren't good at it, but this way it's presented to you and you can look at it completely independently from having been a part of the village's negotiating team as you'd been in the past. So no reflection on you, just a matter of keeping everybody in their lane. And the 1 year, frankly, was the union's suggestion. We always try to do 3, but there were some budget shocks this year, as I'm sure all of you know. And so the 1 year was a stopgap, but the standard is still to do 3 years. As soon as this is approved, frankly, we're going to go right back and start negotiating so that hopefully we could have a new 3-year agreement in place by the time this one expires. But if it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. The important thing is to get it done, and that's what the manager and the CFO and my partner managed to get done this time. They got it done, and we don't have to waste money on litigating with our union. We have labor peace, provided, of course, that you and your colleagues approve the CBA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Councilperson Urban to close it out. But let me just say, Mr. Pulliam, I'll talk to the building supervisor with the manager, and we'll see what new procedures or whatever they have to implement based on that new law, that new state law. and we'll get that updated. So appreciate that. And you close it out for us.
Just very quickly, based on the input from the attorney, it sounds to me like as we plan for a 3-year, as questions start to come to me, like, can we do a 5-year, 7 years? Is right. So I believe we've had these discussions before, but out of the input you've just given us, I feel like we would be perhaps ready as a council to have an executive session regarding this matter so that the manager, the mayor, the council would be able to, this would, an executive meeting session would essentially become public record at some point. The full meeting will become public.
For the record, if I might, Mayor?
Yes.
Through the mayor. Once you approve tonight that the existing one that goes back for the beginning of this fiscal year, I'll put on the record, which is a prerequisite, that the attorney's office is requesting at the appropriate time, with the manager's input, an executive session to talk to the council about our negotiating posture for the next CBA, which we hope is 3 years. And let me just say, anytime you do that, you're looking in a crystal ball, thinking how much money you're going to have, not this year, it's hard enough to know that, how much you're going to have 3 years from now. If you try to do that for 5 or 7, there's just no way, even the 3, the way they're acting in Tallahassee now, and I rail on that every time, hostile to home rule, hostile to the cities.
So
It's impossible to predict,
I only say
but
that.
we got to try, and so I'll put on the record, sir, as you requested, we are calling formally for an executive session to discuss with the council our negotiating posture for the next agreement, hopefully a 3-year agreement, at the appropriate time. It would probably be best after the manager reaches out and we get some idea of what the union is looking for. We can come back to you, talk to you about it, and see how you feel and what you think should be our posture going into negotiations.
I'll just leave it as my desire for a more lengthy agreement is to provide an environment of stability for our folks who face the highest level of hazard within the jobs that they perform for the village. So that stability is incredibly helpful to have the outcomes that we would hope for.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Urban. Moving right along to the resolutions, you guys. Attorney Geller, if you can read that first resolution into the record for us, the CBA
Yes, sir.
contract.
Item F1, a resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement with Fraternal Order of Police effective October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date. Mayor, I apologize. There is a request to read into the record before proceedings a very brief statement by an absent councilman. So I'll do that if that's the pleasure of the body.
We've never done that before. We've never done that before, but yeah, you can go ahead and do it for sure.
It's, let me say, it's not
Point of order.
automatic.
Just a point of order. Would it be more appropriate to read it aloud during the council discussion on the item?
Well, he references 2 items.
Fair enough.
So that's why I thought before we vote on either. It's quite short. To be clear,
All good.
if this was 3 pages, I would note it and maybe excerpt it, but never read it. But it's just a couple paragraphs, and I read fast, so I'm going to do that here. It's from Councilman Winters. I hope you're doing well. Unfortunately, despite trying to rearrange my travel plans, I'm still at the airport and not land until 7 p.m. and can't attend the meeting. As I stated on the record at last week's council meeting, I understand and appreciate the need for a special meeting to address the time-sensitive police collective bargaining item that was inadvertently omitted from the previous agenda. So for the record, and then he said, if possible, I respectfully request the following statement be read into the record on my behalf. For the record, he does not have any adverse comment to this first item, and I just thought that should be read before we do the item. He does say the following. I respectfully object to considering the speed hump agenda item during this special council meeting. Unlike the police collective bargaining item, this matter does not appear to require the same time-sensitive consideration. Whether this agenda item is for payment of the previously approved speed hump project or an additional appropriation or another action related to that project, I believe it'd be more appropriate for it to be considered at the next regularly scheduled council meeting, when all council members have the opportunity to participate. If this item is simply payment for work that was approved approximately 15 months ago, I respectfully question why it has now become so time sensitive that it cannot wait until the next regular meeting. If there's a legitimate reason for that urgency, I would welcome the explanation during the public discussion. I also wish the record to reflect that I do not support expanding or making additional expenditures on traffic control infrastructure while existing traffic control devices remain, pardon me, still in a meeting, call you shortly. While traffic control infrastructure, while existing traffic control devices remain inadequately maintained, we've previously discussed on the record that several speed feedback signs remain inoperable due to failed batteries, and other traffic signs throughout the village have deteriorated to the point that they are faded or difficult to read. Before investing additional public funds on new traffic control devices, I believe the village should first demonstrate that it can properly maintain the infrastructure that already exists. Thank you for your consideration. I request your assistance in ensuring my comments are included in the public record while I'm unable to attend. That is the entire statement, and I will note that the mayor has already addressed these items at some length in response to public comments and offered some of the explanations that were requested. With that said, Mayor, you're eligible to move forward with consideration of item F1, the resolution to approve the collective bargaining agreement.
Absolutely, and just for the record, what Councilperson Winters doesn't understand is that he voted for this last year, the village-wide speed humps. I remember that meeting. So, okay, thank you very much. So we're right. So he read this resolution for the contract for the police. Before I open it up to the audience, is there anything on the council you guys want to say about the police contract?
Well, I mean, I'm prepared to move to approve this item.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna open up for you guys for the police contract. You guys can come up, say your name and address for the record. This is about the police contract itself, and you have 3 minutes, you guys.
I mean, given the explanations that we've had, as far as the kind of the 1 year gap, I don't have any specific issues, I would say, with that. But I think it kind of ties into the continued negotiations for a longer term deal. And then as we talked about all the items on the budget, I mean, I think last time I looked, I think the police department was about 40% of the budget for
it's
for
over
for
50, I
Upland.
believe. It's over 50.
Oh, it's 60%. You're
Yes.
right. I had my percentage 60%. And so I think, given that, I just, in terms of what we're doing for, long-term pay adjustments, how we're planning to expand the force, what the ticket revenue is being used for, transparency around all that, and then just keeping it kind of open for comment and feedback in terms of like our priorities of the city. I think our existing force does a great job, but there's always natural turnover in the force. And so I think it's a question of like, do we need to start like replace or keep hiring people or expand budgets and personnel based on the limited amount of money that we have and what the needs of the village are. Just because it's we're lucky, and it's credit to you guys that we have a safe community. But Miami keeps getting safer and safer. We obviously need great law enforcement, but we also have no money in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Police contract, someone else?
Ian McKenzie, 8950 Northeast 4th Avenue. I still don't understand if this contract includes health care for them. I do see it says every other year they can get an exam or physical, but, you know, I'm in healthcare, and I firmly believe that people should have healthcare coverage in some sort of form. And I used to work for an insurance company years and years ago, and I know there's different plans you can negotiate, different out-of-pockets, contributions from the employer, deductibles, things like that. That can all be negotiated or figured out some sort of thing. So I'd like to ask the chief of police, do you have health care? Whoever wants it. So they contribute, and do we contribute as part of the thing? Okay. Okay, because the way I read this contract, it says, you know, they would provide in the contract an exam every other year, and so whatever ultrasounds or imaging type things that are necessary. But it doesn't go into, and then it talks about insurance and other things like that, but it doesn't say specifically whether the officers have, you know, a healthcare where, let's say they get sick, they can go to the doctor and they may have to pay a co-payment or something like that, but they are covered. So I just am concerned about that part. Okay. Okay, so there is coverage that is paid for. Okay, so that's the answer to my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Next up for about the police contract.
Alexandra Baza, 120 Northwest 36th Street. I'm not sure if I'm not understanding correctly. So today is you're approving or disapproving the agreement that started in October?
So
Last
it
October?
would be retroactively effective to October, yes.
So this will go until this coming October.
It will go until this coming October.
So now you're going to start negotiating the one that is going to be for another year or another 3 years.
Yeah, they'll start negotiating. That's from what I understand. But you can ask. I mean, they can answer that. I'm not part of it, so.
Okay. Yeah. No. I heard that part. So the question is, I know that we went back and forth, you know, a lot about how it was my position last year that the salary should be a bigger component of the budget as opposed to cars or other items in that for the police budget. You know, assault weapons and things that I think are overkill for our town. So if I know that you're going to present like a more detailed part of the budget next week. So that's kind of what I wanted to see, so we can review it for the next negotiation. Thank you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand. Thank you, Ms. Buzz. I see what you're saying. She's saying the budget itself, because the budget is the one that lists the line items. So in the police budget, the line items will be listed in the budget, right? Salaries, cars, whatever they use. And what she's saying is the negotiators, so she's basically talking about the manager, the attorney, CFO. So you guys need to basically look at the budget and understand the different line items and kind of like where you want to prioritize or put like the weight, so that when you go to negotiations, it reflects that, basically, is what she's saying. Yes, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, Denise White, 173 Northwest 88th Street. I've been working on that, Tom. So when I looked at the budget, and I'd be worried about, you know, the fact that we don't have any money, I'd be like, that's crazy. But then, when Dade County I'm a teacher. So when Dade County did their thing, and they told us, well, the governor said he's not giving a lot to public education, so, they don't know what they're going to do, and we were faced with not having a raise. I was a little distressed. So I can understand civil servants who are concerned about the fact that maybe they're not going to get a raise, because Miami-Dade, and I know, we just got to do better about getting some money or make your money. I'm not sure how, because, you know, we got Adam Newman looming over our head, and he might be nonprofit. But We got to do better at making money because civil servants, people who serve, I am a teacher, I am one who serves. And if Dade County say they can't give me no raise next year, I'm going to have a problem. So I can only imagine how my police brethren have a problem. But I will say y'all make more money than us. But at the same time, every year cost of living goes up. So for us to say, well, we have a very safe village and we're not being, and I don't think we should be majorly competitive, but somewhat competitive, so that the people who are here and the police officers who have invested in our little town, if we keep changing people, that's not going to be good for us. They're not going to know us. They're not going to know, that Mr. So-and-so's dog gets out every now and then, but it's okay. He don't got to, arrest Mr. So-and-so, because these officers have been here for a little while. I mean, I don't know a lot of them, but I know that when I go to the park, there are some that open that door up at 6 o'clock. They were doing it earlier. I liked it when y'all do it earlier, but no stress, fellas. So that's just mine. And I do know that we have a budget problem. I'm quite aware of our budget problem. But then we have to do better together to find the monies that we need to make sure that El Portal stays safe. Yes? Amen.
Thank you very much.
Just a quick reminder, Florida is 50th in the U.S. for teacher pay, 50th.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Erbaum. Anybody else for the police budget? The police contract, you guys.
Greg Steer, 120 Northwest 86th Street. Just real quick, this budget contract is basically over, so I think would be a good idea to just move on it. But in the future, I think we should be negotiating. I think 3-year contract is pretty ambitious considering everything that's happening or could be happening in the village. But that is a contract that we should already, I think, be talking about instead of waiting until it's almost already finished. 60% of the budget on public safety seems really high to me, considering the level of crime, which is trending downward, not just countywide, but statewide, nationally as well. Crime is going down, has been going down for over a decade. I'd also think it would be very helpful to see the actual salaries in the interest of transparency. That's something that's missing. And also the report, some sort of report on the fiscal impact of this contract on the budget. I'd like to take a closer look at what we're actually spending on vehicles, on equipment. As several people have pointed out, we don't have a lot of room for error. There's no money in the bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Scott Kobrick, 400 Northeast 85th Street. Hello. I am all for definitely having the police department, and I just wanted to. I wasn't even planning to say anything about it, but I just heard that it's the 60% of the budget, and my house was actually broken into a couple weeks ago. I woke up into somebody in my bedroom with a mask and a flashlight right down the street here. I woke up at 2 a.m. to somebody in my bedroom, and my air conditioning was broken, so I had left my windows open. So I did believe that it was a little bit safer and a safe neighborhood. But anyway, I woke up immediately. I chased them out of the house. They left while I was chasing them, they left their Crocs. They kicked off their Crocs. And afterwards, the police responded very quickly, which was great. And I think it's very important to have the benefit of that, as I've dealt with City of Miami police, where it takes way longer, and the response time was really, really great. The one thing that brings to that I wanted to mention, though, is with respect to the budget, because afterwards, as a follow-up to the investigation, I had wanted the police department to take the Crocs for evidence and for DNA, and also to enter my watch into a very popular database called Leads Online, which basically has any pawn shop, because I think I forgot to mention my watch was stolen, and it would notify any pawn shop that would get the watch. The police department would be notified within 24 hours of that serial number. So I was told that, you know, we don't really have the equipment or money or any maybe you know, coordination with the county or anything like that to get DNA on the Crocs. Well, I actually think I was told that because I handled them and moved them outside, that might have impacted it. But as far as the watch and the subscription, it does seem like something that we should be able to have access to as a village if 60% of our budget is going towards that. So anyway, thank you very much. That's my comment. And thank you to the police department for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Colbert, have you had follow-up on any of those items?
Yes, I did speak to Sergeant Gutierrez, and you know, he informed me of some of where we were at, but the disappointing thing is that we don't have access to the Leads Online, and that there's no we don't have a subscription or coordination with any.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor, but it's not appropriate for the
Okay,
details
sorry about
of
that.
an
I asked a
ongoing
question.
police
I asked a question. Sorry
investigation
about
to
that.
be
Okay.
discussed publicly, and information could be revealed that would be counter to the ability of the police to do their job.
fault.
No disrespect to anybody, but I do have to interrupt that. I'm sorry.
My
Thank
fault.
you.
All right, thank you. Well, I hope, Mr. Colbert, you're getting the help that you need. I can say that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else for a police contract, good and welfare, or public comment?
Daniel Rojas, 60 Northeast 86th Street. I guess going back on the budget, I know in the previous budget we had set aside a certain amount for the salaries. Just want to make sure it reconciles with the amount that is in the agreement, just to make sure all officers actually line up with this amount. And then also, I think I'll end up with Greg with respect that there's no actual details given on salary or base pay per position and what the differences are for the different positions. If there's any differences between lieutenant and a captain and things like that. Yep, I just thank you to Mr. Geller for clearing up that negotiations are going to happen soon for the next one. That would be very important. And that's about it for me. Thank you on this one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rojas. Anyone else police contract? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? All right, you guys bring back to council. Any other comments or questions you guys have?
Just to reiterate that that I'll try and be succinct here. Okay, so to Mr. Steer's point of the low number of arrests, I would hope that going forward, all law enforcement would start to look more towards like white collar crimes and things like that. So I would hope that we would have a police department that would be able to be of assistance for kind of more of those crimes, especially as the growth of Miami is going to be bringing in more scammers and things like this, right? I fundamentally believe that if you don't want an officer having an envelope of money in his pocket, then you compensate that officer, you provide a benefit package that is adequate to that officer, you give them the dignity in that so that they come to work and do the right thing every day. It is very much a people business. The people business I worked in for 25 years is food service, and so within all of that, you understand. So I'm talking bars and restaurants, right? So people drinking and things. I mean, I've just been around alcohol and drugs for 25 years, essentially, right? So in all of that, you get to know different aspects of law enforcement as well. And so I just fundamentally believe that you must have a compensation package that gives you the things you believe. Now, a small village like us, I believe there's an opportunity for us to be, we might have younger people coming in and our ambition to go do big things and things of this effect. I don't see why we couldn't be a village where we have essentially a training program with officers with experience being matched with some younger officers and having a department knowing that we're not going to be able to keep everyone. So within the restaurant business, the biggest argument that I had with the owner of the place I was working or the GM, as I got into supervisory and management roles, the thing I would go head to head with the owner of the company over most often was time spent on training staff, because there is no industry on earth that has a higher turnover rate than the hospitality industry. So the question becomes, why should I spend time training anybody at my restaurant if I know they're going to be gone in 3 months, 6 days, 5 months, 10 months? Most won't make a year. Because if you have that as an industry standard and you participate in an industry standard, then you have a larger, more talented, more skilled base to get employees from. So it doesn't concern me so greatly in terms of turnover, more than I would want to have a plan for that turnover, understanding that it's something that's going to happen. And so having these ideas of wanting to discuss these things, we cannot, under sunshine laws, discuss these things without an executive session, which is why that was my request earlier.
Thank you very much. Any last questions or comments before I go to a vote? We're good. Do I have a motion to approve the CBA police agreement?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Erbaum. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very
Mayor,
much.
item F2, a resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, providing for installation of speed humps and signs, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for authorization, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Before I open it up, is there any other discussion? Let me just say really quickly, after Councilperson Winters' thing that he said, which he did vote for it last year. But let me just say, respectfully, I didn't mean that to be disrespectful. You can change your vote. Even though you voted for something, you can't change your mind later on. We all have that option. All right, any questions or comments from the council before I open it up to the audience?
No.
All right, and for the audience, yeah, go ahead. For the speed humps.
Tim Bossity, 149 Northeast 89th. Totally understand your point. Mayor Omar around approved last year, but I mean, I think it doesn't necessarily mean we have to spend the money, lock ourselves into something now. A lot has changed, obviously, in the last year and a half, with what could come here in terms of traffic with flow, traffic potential with the school, other development, and so I think, and to your point around, yeah, absolutely, we get funding in for other things that aren't from our taxpayer dollars, but there are sometimes very specific ways we can use it, sometimes more broad and general ways that we can use it. And so I think even if this is something that has been approved and we think is ultimately a great idea, like I from my perspective, I think ultimately more speed humps is probably fantastic. I wouldn't disagree with the original motion there, but I'm more saying, like, we have a lot going on right now, and we don't really know, we're a little bit flying blind as far as budget, as far as all the things going on. To me, it seems like not the time to spend or lock ourselves into spending more money on things like that we might want to rip up in a year because it doesn't fit a comprehensive traffic plan based on everything else that's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll respond after all of you guys speak.
Hello, Ian McKenzie, 8950 Northeast 4th Avenue. I agree with the previous speaker, totally. I'd also further like to read something from this section where it says, Section 2 approval, that the Village Council approves all driveway solutions to continue speed hump and sign installation and authorize the expenditure of funds necessary to carry out our future speed hump and sign installation. So by that, I take it, and our attorney can certainly comment on this, as this is a contract to say that you can go ahead and carry out and pay and do these things. And I caution you about that because before we even know what money we have, we should really look at that and vote no. I encourage you to vote no on this. You can always revisit it. And also I've learned in negotiating things and contracts and things in business over 40 years that if a price that they've quoted you is good, great. Doesn't mean you have to take it. If they don't want to offer that or extend that at a future date, then there probably was something going on or some changes and there would be some shortcuts taken or something. So don't let the price, the fact that, oh my God, I'm going to lose out, because you never know what you can get from somebody else, maybe if you open up the bid again and so forth. So they could even give you a better price because they maybe realize they didn't get the bid the first time. So, I think it's really, and I'm not against speed bumps in any way. In fact, I was the one who suggested putting in speed bumps before spending a $1.7 million on a traffic circle that looks like nothing, kind of, if you look at it. And I've been around that area. So the other thing for the traffic circle, you can also take a light meter and use the light meter to gauge how bright the lights are and compare it to other things. And that would provide substantial documentation for, arguing for a dimming of the lights if needed. So anyhow, those are just some of the thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next for speed humps.
Alexandra Baza, 120 Northwest 86th Street. I understand that the project was approved last year, but at the same time, I know that there were changes within the budget that were not expected, as like the income that was supposed to come from the project in Cavista, that changed. So those adjustments need to be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Denise, 173 Northwest 88th Street. I just have a question. Why we need steep bumps if we got the roundabout? I thought the roundabout was supposed to make it so that people slow down, because we asked for speed bumps and they told us no, we couldn't have no speed bumps or something like that. So then we couldn't get no speed bumps. So if we got the roundabout, ooh, the $700,000 roundabout. He was $500,000, was a match grant, but we ended up paying $700,000, something like that. Anyway, I'm not completely sure, but I think that's how it went. So I just want to know, well, why we got to have speed bumps? I mean, it's not like we big like Miami Shores, so we don't got to do everything Miami Shores does. We have speed bumps on 86 already. And then, oh my gosh, there goes that crazy budget again. Yeah, I think we should rethink that, because we did pass the roundabout that nobody wanted. So I think we should just rethink that. That's just my opinion. You can't trust nobody wearing a tutu, but that's my opinion. Bye.
Anybody else for the speed humps? Speed humps going once. Come on.
Daniel Rojas, 60 Northeast 86th Street. I just wanted to ask what the total contract value for this phase of the speed bump project would be.
It's $17,000.
17,000. And then, so it's a non-competitive bid.
It
for
went through the
for these bids.
procurement. I can read the thing off of the last year's resolution again.
Right. So, and then we are satisfied with the work that they did, and hence we want to keep them and continue with the contract.
We are. I believe all your neighbors love the speed humps. I hear from Ms. Quackenbush. I hear from Terry. You know.
Much better than what we have before. It's still people try to speed in between the speed bumps, which is not the most
But
efficient.
from what it used to be.
Better than before, yes.
I
I
know
appreciate that. I'm grateful for the speed bumps.
Yes.
Just want to make sure we have clarification on those little items that weren't visible to us. But thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Anyone else for the speed humps? All right, going once, going twice speed humps, going 3 times. All right, so the first thing I'm going to say is this. What was being argued is not what's up for tonight. All right. The speed humps were passed last year. The second whereas is for the village-wide speed humps. The Village of El Portal has reviewed 3 proposals, copies of which are attached here too, and finds that the proposed quote for the installation of speed humps and signs obtained by All Driveway Solutions is the lowest responsive and responsible proposal, and that is the proper source of procurement under Florida law. Like I said, all I'm doing for transparency reasons is coming back here and saying, hey, instead of, which we have every right to do, instead of me just popping up with speed humps 2 months from now, or next week, or tomorrow, what I'm saying is that all driveway speed humps that have been down, right, that are satisfactory to the residents where they are, over the past year, we've looked at their work, we've studied their work, we reviewed their work is satisfactory. All this does tonight is say, we've studied their work, we reviewed their work is satisfactory. If I didn't have the tonight's thing from last year, I can put in a speed bump tomorrow, I can put in a speed bump next week, I can put in a speed bump 2 months from now. Resolutions don't expire after 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And it's interesting because someone told me, because people always say transparency, more transparency, more transparency. And I said, you know what? I was sitting there writing the resolution. I said, I can be transparent. This is never done because usually when you go through the procurement process, you just do whatever the procurement results are. That's what you do. Like we have, for example, we use CAP Government. We use, different consultants. We use Corradino Group. We've never come back with a resolution and say, hey, for Corradino Group, I have a resolution that we're going to use them for the next 2 months. We never do that. But everybody wants more transparency. So that's what I try to do. But what's done, though, was done last year. Now, this right here, what we're doing tonight, that doesn't mean that we have to put speed bumps out tomorrow. We did this one last year. I put some speed humps out. I didn't put them out for the rest of the year. Why? Because of things you guys brought up, budget, where we are now, what are our priorities. Off of this one last year, I could have put down 100 speed humps over the past year. So it's already done. I'm just trying to be more transparent as far as the work that was done, we've looked at it, we reviewed it, it's satisfactory. So maybe we won't put another speed hump down for 3 more years. But we're going through the procurement process. Questions, comments from the council?
So, it's not that I'm against speed bumps, it's that I have low confidence in competent execution of speed bumps. What I mean by that is, I want to understand what thought was put into the harmonics of the road that the speed bump's going to be put on, matched with the shape and material of the speed bump. So on Park Drive here, for example, you can clear that speed bump down there that's 5 mile an hour is listed, which you will regret if you're at 10 or 15. But as I've said before at multiple meetings, 40 to 45 miles an hour on that long straight there is actually just about as easy on your vehicle as 5. There's a lead up where you can accomplish 40 to 45 miles an hour on Park Drive. Other streets, there may not be such, lead time from it. I do find the speed bumps over Miami Shores to be effective. They're plateaus. You rise up onto the plateau and then drop down off the other side of the plateau. As someone who is a master of Pine Tree Drive at 45 miles an hour without hurting my suspension, let me explain to you that the speed bumps in Miami Shores with the plateau are effective, far more effective than anything they've ever put on Pine Tree. I did now Tiger Tail, okay, in Coconut Grove. I don't know if many of you are familiar with the entirety of Tiger Tail, but there is one intersection. It's not a speed bump. It's offset teardrop concrete formations that are actually quite small, footprint of like less than 10 square feet, 12 square feet each, something like that. But they're offset in the middle of the intersection. They accomplish a safe island for a pedestrian. They accomplish breaking up a dead straight path through multiple blocks without any interruption from a stop sign or other. And so, it's easy to just find yourself with the natural progression of the road. You'll be at 60 miles an hour by the time you get down to the stop sign at, I forget what it is, but I want to say 17th Avenue. The point being that there are multiple options for either breaking up a straightaway, which accomplishes slowing down traffic on a road that has straightaways, and then again, which speed bump is going in, exactly how it's designed, where exactly on the street it's placed because of the momentum that is accomplished from wherever the person's most recent stop point is, to where the next stop point is on a street, however long that is and however straight it is. The longer and straighter, the higher speed you have. I mean, I grew up on I-70, V8. They didn't make a V8 that could even go fast enough on I-70. The road is designed for a car to be going at literally like close to 200 miles an hour. There's 170 mile rated turns on I-70, It was a fantastically fun road to grow up driving on, but it's engineered specifically to accomplish incredibly rapid caravans of incredibly, massive vehicles, right? Well, El Portal's a little different. We don't need I-10 running through El Portal. We already have 95. The point being that that I'm not against speed bumps. I just want to know that what we're putting in has data there's established databases on what's going to happen or what can be accomplished to overcome a speed bump. And then I will maintain that Pluserbia, the Resilient Streets project that they've offered us, I do believe that there is a mathematical path to accomplishing a labyrinth of one-way streets in El Portal, which would accomplish village-wide traffic speed mediation because locals will understand how to navigate it and outsiders will be confused by it and will stay out. So I maintain that the most efficient thing we can possibly do is Miami Shores is not going to tear down the walls that they built, for racial reasons back in whenever they did. That's not an efficient path to then start to decide what we're going to do once those streets would be open. So I maintain that I am in favor of El Portal, the Labyrinth.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Urban. Have you ever rode over to the west side and went over those speed bumps over there?
Yes, they're effective, but those are actually they're almost too effective, meaning that it's like you're punishing the locals with sometimes with speed bumps like that. Like there is a factor of do you punish everybody to address a small percentage of violators essentially, and so I'm not a fan of punitive speed bumps.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider them punitive. I would consider them, they work, right? And they bring safety to the speeders that are there, so the kids can play outside.
Park Drive works, but there are people who have learned that it's better for their car at 45 miles an hour. And then the expectation around that speed bump is 5. So when you have an offset expectation of speed versus reality, this is how you get a pedestrian hit, which would be worst case scenario, and then everything below that. So I believe that that's what I'm speaking to. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I would just say that if we feel like, yeah, I hear you. No, I hear you, my brother. I would say that if we feel like speed humps, which we passed last year village-wide, if we feel like that's something that we want to continue, whether it's a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, resolutions don't expire, then there's nothing against continuing to solidify that the work that was done was quality work for us. Now, what I can also do, which I'm not sure if I would do it, to be transparent, is every time I put in a single speed hump from now on, I can just bring it back to the council. Even though I don't have to, right? Because we already voted for village-wide. But if it's going to be the same argument for every individual speed hump, then I don't know.
Right, so you'd want to have a prescribed plan already of what types of bumps where you'd want to have, and
which was already done in last year, right? Everything was already done last year. The attachment to last year had everything.
So I would move to table this to October so that the budget would be we would have clarity on the budget. I think that is probably the single largest concern across the board, seems to be. And then additionally in that time, there would be the ability for the public to understand what is going where. And so that is my motion, to table this to October for those purposes.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but is there a motion on the table? Is there a second? We have a motion on the table. We need a second to the motion. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. Motion fails for lack of a second. Is there another motion?
Do F and G.
For the resolution, you move your motion for the resolution, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward?
Yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second going once.
Well, hold on before you count that out. The collective bargaining agreement with Fraternal Order of Police effective?
We did
Don't
that.
have a second?
We did that, Councilperson. We're on the speed humps right now.
Okay, so one is already done?
Yeah, we're done.
All right, so the resolution on the El Patel providing for installation of
Yes.
speed humps?
Yes, that's what it
signs,
was.
providing?
Yes.
And we're talking about this, and I can't get anybody to go
Well,
second?
we have a second going once.
We're not doing it right.
We have a second going twice. We have a second going 3 times. fails for lack of a second. Motion fails. Do I have another motion of any sort?
If not,
Okay. Do I have no motion?
I have no motion beyond what I've already presented, so I would only be
Okay.
making the same motion.
So we have no motion.
resolution F2.
Ma-
No motion.
No motion. No motion going once. No motion going twice. No motion. We have no motion on F2. Let's move to agenda item G1. Attorney Geller.
Yes, sir. Agenda item D1, as I discussed with the council at the last meeting, is regarding our joining the proposed property tax constitutional amendment challenge. I've circulated some correspondence from an attorney at Weiss Serota and a copy of the lawsuit that they filed. We frequently get the opportunity to join some litigation against some misguided thing that the state legislature does. As a former member of that body, I feel comfortable using that description of their actions. They're not helpful often, can't say always, but often, certainly to a city of our size trying to survive. That said, most often when we get the opportunity to join such a lawsuit, it comes with a price tag. And, you know, $10,000 to contribute to the costs is not all the money in the world, but it's a heck of a lot more affordable if you're the city of Miami or the city of Hialeah or some other city that has a lot of money that's not us. This is unique because it's being funded by a nonprofit corporation. And so we've been invited to join as a party plaintiff for free. I like free. Free is good. Free doesn't cost anybody here any money. The only possible downside I could see if the suit completely failed, I suppose someone could move for costs against the plaintiffs. Hopefully the nonprofit would cover that as well. Even if it didn't, I don't see this as a very high cost case. Even getting an award of costs wouldn't necessarily be simple, but frankly, there's not a lot of depositions, there's not a lot of experts. This is pretty much presenting the language, arguing it before the court, so it's a relatively low-cost case. Based on that, I see little, not zero, but little possibility that worst case, it could cost us any money, and in all likelihood, we just get to lend our voice to it. And of course, if that passes as written, it would be devastating to this village. I recommend to you that we join the lawsuit free of charge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Attorney Geller?
I just have a comment. My favorite line from The Big Lebowski is nihilist, or no, I'm sorry, I already messed up. Fair, who's the nihilist here, right? So I often get, I was raised ultra conservative, so it's only natural that at some point in my life, like, I am eventually the conservative in the room, even though I have not been a conservative for an exceptionally long time now. And so about a year ago, I was explaining to my wife that if you could picture a mountaintop, a rocky mountain, okay, like a mountaintop rock, okay, and halfway down that mountain, you have a lush plateau, a very lush plateau, but that plateau is mostly soil, not a lot of rock, right? Well, if you could imagine, you know, I don't know, an earthquake, I suppose, or something to that effect that would kind of shake that plateau loose, the entirety of this lush, fertile plateau that's supporting all types of communities collapses into the valley of the mountain. So that is what's happening to the middle class in this country. The unbelievably wealthy are placing side bets as entertainment on the end of our economy so that they can begin the fire sale of acquiring industries wholesale, neighborhoods wholesale, retail wholesale, all right? So there is a eliminating of what you call small to medium businesses and a consolidation of what you would call mega businesses, okay? I've mentioned several times I worked in restaurants a lot. I don't often speak of it, but I worked always at the highest levels of the food service industry. And so we would have people come into the restaurants wherever I was working. And, oh man, that guy's the owner of Navarro Pharmaceuticals. Oh my God, you know, stuff like this, right? How much is he worth? 300 million. Oh my God, you know. So people mumble and oh man, can you believe this? You know, it's not always just celebrities. Fame and celebrity, give me, or fame and fortune, give me fortune, right? Like I have no interest in fame, but give me fortune. So you'd have all these fortunate people come in, and you'd have, you know, pretty regular people waiting on them, and pretty impressed by the wealth, right? So I'd kind of calm them down and say, guys, that person has $300 million. They still measure their wealth in dollars. They still get their food from Publix. They get their food from the same place you get your food from. So when you're talking ultra wealthy, you're talking people who trade mountain ranges for ocean floors. That's what we're talking about, all right? So the people who trade mountain ranges for ocean floors, they are collapsing the middle class. So I believe in property rights, and you know, when we talk about these things, I'm not against some of them, but there has to be a plan. So if you're going to make a cataclysmic change to the way things are, then there must be a plan for what's going to happen afterwards. And so my concern with all of this is in that realm of where's the plan. So it's deeply concerning.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Irvine. Any other comments from the council? Hearing, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a what motion do you want, Attorney Geller?
The request is that we join the lawsuit.
But you said you were going to join. It's free.
But I can't do it without your authorization.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you were
It
going to
won't cost us
join.
money, but somebody has to
I thought that's where we're
move
headed to.
that we add our name as a plaintiff, provided there's no charge.
I move to direct the attorney to join any lawsuit available to take on home rule issues in the state of Florida.
You have a second? Madam Clerk, please, roll call.
Roll call, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Erbaum?
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn? You guys? You have a
I'll
motion.
second.
Motion moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Councilperson Erbaum. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. The special council meeting for Wednesday, July 1st, 2026 is adjourned at 8:25 p.m. Thank you, guys.